Attention Seinfeld fans, Jerry's coming to CBS.
So who you expecting?
Jerry Stiller, that is.
I'm the Jerry now!
The King of Queens, season premiere, CBS Monday.
I'm standing here.
Hard to believe, but the man that you're looking at is the eldest son of the Reverend Sun Myung Moon.
What the you judge me by? Huh?
Among the harrowing stories the Reverend Moon's former daughter-in-law has to tell about that family is her account of how the Reverend, a man who proclaims himself the second coming of Christ, justifies having had his own extramarital affairs.
He told me in person that it's God's mission. So he had to have these extramarital affairs because it was God's mission that he had to fulfill.
Is the Catholic Church ready for a black pope?
Remember, today, 41% of the College of Cardinals comes from the Third World.
Continuamos a pregare.
One of them, Cardinal Francis Arinze of Nigeria, whose father was a tribal chief, converted to Catholicism as a boy.
If somebody's going to leave the church because we have a black pope, in my opinion, they should have left the church years ago.
With 36 murders under his belt, Anthony Casto is behind bars for the rest of his life. Nothing to do but dream about what it was like to be America's most feared mobster.
It's better than being a Hollywood star. No matter where you go with your family, they don't know what to do for you, the people. I mean, don't get me wrong, they know you're a gangster, they know what you are. They go all out for you. Like go to restaurants, you don't wait online. They'll get you a table right away.
So why did these people treat you that way?
Because they knew I was with organized crime. They knew I was a mafia member.
I'm Mike Wallace.
I'm Wally Safer.
I'm Ed Bradley.
I'm Steve Croft.
I'm Leslie Stahl. Those stories and Andy Rooney tonight on 60 Minutes.
You worried about saving your own skin?
Yeah, I am. Covers my body.
When everything goes wrong.
Get the background.
Guy goes for the case. Oh, they're good.
He's the one.
Let's go!
Who can make it right. Time magazine says Ronin is a sly masterpiece. The real deal in action fireworks, raves Rolling Stone. And Gene Shalit says, deceit, deception, De Niro, Ronin.
Did you ever kill anybody? I hurt somebody's feelings once.
Rated R. Starts Friday.
My goodness, stocks, bonds, equities, large... Ooh, 10 Beck bets. Peter Lynch?
Can I help you out?
Oh, talk about information overload.
It's too much.
But you must know all this.
You don't need all this.
It's my mission to be informed.
Fidelity can help you work out what you should know.
For your free investing guide, call 1-800-FIDELITY or visit fidelity.com.
You're going to buy something?
Just browsing.
What's it going to take to get the network you need for the future?
Never happened.
Who's got the network know-how, the people, and the technology to take you there? Lucent Technologies. We make the things that make communications work.
Why are the CMAs on CBS going to be the best ever? 2 words. Garth Brooks. The most live performances on the Country Music Association Awards, CBS Wednesday.
If you're a 15-year-old Korean girl and your spiritual leader, your messiah, selects you to marry his son, that is about as close as you can get to heaven on earth. But sadly, Nansuk Hong's marriage into the Reverend Sun Myung Moon's family turned out to be more like hell on earth. As you will hear from her and from one of Sun Myung Moon's daughters, Moon himself and some of his children had not always practiced what Moon preaches. His Unification Church stresses no sex outside marriage, no alcohol, no illegal drugs. But Nansuk says that is not what she saw after she married the Reverend's eldest son, Hyojin Moon, the young man they call the Prince.
He was the prince. He was very abusive, both physically and emotionally. He is alcoholic. He's addicted to drugs.
After all, isn't it give and take?
And she told us he was high on cocaine or some other drug when he made this rambling, angry, off-color speech to a church group.
I'm standing here being judged by you. What the do you judge me by? Huh?
Nansuk didn't even know Hyojin when she was chosen to marry him, and she certainly didn't expect a drug addict. She'd been brought up believing that the Reverend Moon's family was without sin.
We had a lot of Moon and his family pictures that as a child, as a teenager, we adored, we admired, we looked at those nice smiles and happy family, and we thought that was ideal family.
The Reverend Moon calls his family the true family, the perfect family.
Moon is perfect human being. He's the only perfect human being on the earth. And he can choose his wife, and his wife becomes perfect as well. And so his children become perfect because they are from this perfect man and perfect woman.
And so when Moon marries more than 1,000 couples at once, as he did in New York last June, he exhorts them to live the high moral life that he supposedly exemplifies. The church told us Moon himself had matched each couple by studying their pictures and brief biographies. And the newlyweds say they want their families to be just as virtuous as his.
He sets an example as to how to be true parents. The world is in dire need of strong family values. That he not only preaches that, but he lives it as well.
They have true family, and they bring up children of goodness.
And without sin.
No sin at all. No sin.
And drugs?
No drugs.
Alcohol?
No alcohol.
Moon's theology that he is a perfect man who can create perfect family, I think kind of falls apart if I look at his children.
The Moons gave birth to 13 children, and various individuals who've been close to them told us that in violation of church rules, they have seen some of Moon's children drink alcohol, smoke, and use illegal drugs. And Nansuk soon learned that her husband is the worst of them. She lived with him here at the Moons' opulent estate north of New York City. She says the Moons knew all about her husband's drug problem, but still they spoiled him, kept showering him with cash.
When he needed cash, he went to his mom, and his mom would give him from $1,000 up to, $50,000, and some more.
From $1,000 to $50,000?
Yes, depends. Depends what he asks and what kind of mood the parents are in.
Where did all this cash come from?
I believe mainly it's coming from Japan. When Japanese leaders come in, they bring cash in, and basically they give to Reverend and Mrs. Moon.
And how would his son use those church donations?
He basically used for his cocaine, his party, his waitress, hostess, bar hopping, all the fun things that a person can do.
Those fun things apparently included mistresses. Hyojin told her he was entitled to have affairs because his father had had them. And she says Reverend Moon himself confirmed to her that he had had affairs, but the Reverend told her that God wanted him to.
He told me in person that he called it providential affairs.
Providential affairs?
Providential affairs.
What is
it's
it?
Providential means it's God's mission. So he had to have these affairs, extramarital affairs, because it was providential. It was God's mission that he had to fulfill.
Of course, Reverend Moon does not tell his followers about that part of God's mission. Instead, he preaches that adultery is a major sin.
That's the worst sin that Unification Church members could commit, to commit adultery.
Mm-hmm.
Then you will basically burn in hell forever. That's the one single most worst thing that you can do. But Hyojin did many times, and his parents know, but there's nothing they do.
But worse than the affairs, she says, the Reverend's eldest son would beat her. One awful night, she told us, he pummeled her while she was pregnant with their 5th child.
He was doing his cocaine ritual, and against my better judgment, I went and said, I really have to talk to you. I said, I just cannot live like this. And I took his cocaine, I tried to flush it down the toilet, and that's when it started punching. And I did get black eyes, and I got bloody nose, and but the big fear was that he kept saying he's gonna kill the baby.
That you were carrying?
I was carrying. I was 7 months pregnant. I was pretty big, and he kept saying, "I'm gonna kill the baby. I'm gonna kill the baby." And that's the worst fear I had. That he might punch, and then something would happen.
Whenever she told Reverend and Mrs. Moon about the beatings, Nansuk says they blamed her.
I was not an ideal wife for Hyojin. That's why Hyojin behaved a certain way toward me. And I wasn't a good member of their family. So also it was my fate.
Who told you that, Mrs. Moon? Or?
Both of them. Yes. And it was my fate that I have to endure these things.
Sounds familiar.
Nansuk is getting support from a surprising source, one of Reverend Moon's daughters, Anjin Moon. She told us her parents blamed her, too, when she was abused by her husband. Did he beat you?
Yes.
And you would tell your folks?
Yes.
And they would say?
I deserved it.
Anjin Moon is estranged from her parents, but she has never criticized them in public before. She and a close friend, Jeannie Hornert, said that by coming forward, they hope to dissuade people from joining cults. Off camera, Anjin told us she does not believe her father's the Messiah. On camera, she put it this way.
He's just my father. I think that in itself should say a whole lot.
Anjin is a Moon, but not a Moonie, not a believer in her father's church.
I believe in a God, but I don't think that I want to belong to one particular denomination, no.
What do you think of Nansuk? Honest?
I think she's very honest.
Do you admire her? Do you respect her? Do you believe her?
Yes, I do. I respect and admire her very much.
Nansuk got a degree in art history from Barnard College. Though she realized the perfect family was far from perfect, she tried to be philosophical about it. So what you're saying is that they're like...
Everybody else, like all of us who are dysfunctional. I think every family has problems. So they're like everybody else, but a little more dysfunctional than, I think, ordinary middle-class family.
Well, they have more money to help them to be dysfunctional.
Yes.
The church won't say how much money Moon has or how many businesses he owns, but over the years, he's reported to have amassed hundreds of millions of dollars. Former Moon insider Donna Collins was the first Western child in Moon's church. She was born into it because her parents set up the church in England.
I grew up believing he was the Messiah, but I can't imagine it now.
Moon took a personal interest in Donna, and as a favored child from the West, she saw a lot of Moon's family.
I had more contact with his family than the average member, which is probably what led me to leave, because I saw a lot of the discrepancies between the teachings and his behavior and his family life.
The final straw for Donna and her parents came, she says, when they discovered another Moon family secret, that the Reverend has at least one illegitimate son. Moon's daughter confirmed that.
That I know of, yes.
You know the child?
Yes, his name is Sammy.
And Anjin Moon told us that the warm family pictures in the church magazine give a false impression. That the truth is Moon spent very little time with his children, and that he and most of his children have never been close. Nansuk says there's even a language barrier between Moon and his 5 youngest children. Well, do his young children speak Korean?
Not really.
And the father doesn't speak much English?
Father doesn't, no.
So what you're saying is that the young...
The younger ones really do not
They can't talk to their dad?
No, they can't. They can't really communicate.
Actually, that's what his daughter told me as well. But then I would say the communication that he had, even with his older children, wasn't particularly intimate.
Do you worry at all that there might be some kind of revenge exacted upon you for your speaking out?
Yes, I was extremely frightened for a long time. I couldn't speak out. But I think there is some safety in going public, and I certainly wanted to support Nansuk because I think it's wonderful that the truth comes out about him and his family.
Over the years, Nansuk says her husband became increasingly violent, and she feared that he might hurt the children. So one night, 3 years ago, while she says her husband was locked in their bedroom after hours of cocaine, she hustled her 5 children into a minivan, hid them under blankets, and drove them out of the Moon's luxurious estate, never to return. Now you live in a modest house in Lexington, Massachusetts. No swimming pools, no bowling alleys, no,
No babysitters, no drivers.
Right.
No cook.
You're the cook?
I'm the cook. I had to learn.
How have the children adjusted to this new lifestyle?
Oh, wonderfully. I'm proud of them. We all had to learn a new way of life.
A life that also includes fear of retaliation from the Moons.
They're not going to control my life. And I basically have to live with the fear that I have, that somebody might do something to me. But that's life.
After telling a divorce court what she has told us about her husband, Nansuk got her divorce, plus $600,000 in cash, and $9,000 a month for child support. Now 32 years old, she works at a center helping battered women, and she has just completed a book called In the Shadow of the Moons. Why are you telling this story?
Because I feel that I was duped. Duped. I feel I was conned. And I had certain naive, I think, idealism that I wanted to work for God. And I do think a lot of people have that. And a lot of organizations like Moon do take full advantage of those people. And I was one of them.
Nansuk still believes in God, but she has a new way of looking at Reverend Moon.
I did come to the conclusion that Reverend Moon just cannot be the Messiah.
What you're saying is that he's a phony.
A con man.
The Reverend Sun Young Moon is a con man.
That's the conclusion I came with. Living with their family for 15 years.
The Reverend and Mrs. Moon declined to talk to us, but they did send us a brief statement. They wrote in part, "We commiserate with Nansuk over the suffering arising from the tragic personal problems our son has faced. We as parents feel a deep sense of responsibility."
The all-new Mitsubishi Galant. Totally new styling, nicely equipped at $17,990.
Let me help you. I'll do it. I can do it.
Arthritis has claimed these hands. But take comfort in the medicine arthritis specialists now recommend first, Tylenol. Tylenol is simply the most trusted combination of strength and safety in arthritis pain relief today. Tylenol. Take comfort in our strength.
Hey, you Morty Briskin?
Who's asking?
Had a hard time finding this place.
Dear Mort, you have been accepted to Harvard University and awarded a scholarship. Congratulations on all your accomplishments. You must respond, however, by May 1978.
Better late than never.
Next time, be absolutely sure. Don't just send it FedEx.
See you in September.
At Invesco, we know that the financial world isn't always as it seems. The big economic picture can always change quickly. And to manage a fund, Invesco knows you need to be on top of the changing picture and know how it might affect you right at home. Invesco, a family of no-load funds. Over 65 years of experience, a global perspective. You should know what Invesco knows.
Oh, hey, there's my man. Hey, Dr. Catan.
Get ready for medicine LA style.
They want to do a segment, meet the real Hollywood docs. No, I'm not stuck in traffic. I'm at the restaurant.
She's
He's like a movie star.
He took a job.
No, but in movies he's naked.
Naked.
On camera.
I was being directed by my higher power.
Would that be Armani or Hugo Boss?
L.A. Doctors premieres CBS Monday.
Until the election of John Paul II 20 years ago, every pope for the last 4 centuries was Italian. The choice of a Polish pope broke that monopoly. It meant his successor could come from virtually anywhere. And with John Paul now 78 and in frail health, there is great speculation about who will lead the world's 1 billion Catholics beyond the millennium. Vatican officials will, of course, not talk about it while the Pope is living, but many prominent Catholics will. We asked 2 scholars to take us through the process. The election is supposed to be guided by the Holy Spirit, but there are some earthly considerations.
It's a political event, and anyone who thinks it is not doesn't know how it's done.
Father Richard McBrien, the eminent Notre Dame historian and theologian, is the author of Lives of the Popes.
There's nothing wrong with politics, because all politics is fashioning and refashioning coalitions.
You can't even suggest that you might be interested.
Oh, no. No campaign buttons, no posters.
Father Tom Reese is a Catholic educator and an expert on church politics, and author of Inside the Vatican.
Anyone who looks like he's campaigning to be Pope would be considered too ambitious, too proud. Therefore, what happens is someone has to be kind of your campaign manager who goes around and talks to the other cardinals and tells them how good you are.
And here is the field, the princes of the church, the College of Cardinals. When a pope dies, all the cardinals under the age of 80, about 120 of them, convene in the Vatican for a conclave. They cannot emerge until they elect a pope. The first to receive a 2/3 majority gets the job.
This will sound terrible, but the political process to elect a new pope is closer to the smoke-filled room than it is either to the party convention or certainly to the primary. The conclave is one big, I would say, smokeless, smoke-filled room, if you will.
So like elections used to be, or like conventions used to be in this country, they used to be crapshoots.
Right, but conventions now are boring because it's predestined from the primary season who's going to get it. This is not going to be boring.
Neither was the last election.
Habemus Papam.
Habemus Papam. We have a pope. The choice of Karol Wojtyła, Archbishop of Krakow, changed everything. By electing a non-Italian, the cardinals internationalized the papacy. For the first time in modern history, there is talk of a pope from Africa. Is the Catholic Church ready for a black pope?
I think with the growth of the church in the Third World, there's a lot more openness to something like this. Remember, today, 41% of the College of Cardinals comes from the Third World.
Continuamos a pregare.
One of them, Cardinal Francis Arinze of Nigeria, is getting a lot of attention. He came to the attention of John Paul II with his work on expanding the church in Africa.
He has a doctorate in theology, and he did it on native African religion. He's involved in interreligious dialogue with Hindus and Muslims and Buddhists. He's got a wonderful sense of humor. I think he has a very charismatic personality, the kind that would capture the imagination of the world.
And do introduce yourself briefly and take the Holy Father's medal.
Arinze, whose father was a tribal chief, accompanied the Pope on his trip to Nigeria in March. He converted to Catholicism as a boy. Father Reese says the choice of Arinze would have a profound impact in this country.
It'd be very supportive of black Catholics and Christians in the United States who would see that this is not a white church. This is an international, intercultural. It's a Catholic church.
But would it lose some of those American and European Catholics who might already be tottering anyway?
Well, I mean, if somebody's going to leave the church because we have a black pope, in my opinion, they should have left the church years ago.
Choosing Cardinal Arenze would be significant in another way. It would mean the Pope was a convert, just like the first one, St. Peter. It's also an issue for another possible candidate.
Les civilisations avant nous regardaient la mort en face.
Jean-Marie Lustiger, 72, Cardinal Archbishop of Paris, was born a Jew. His parents were deported from France during World War II, and his mother died at Auschwitz. Around the same time, at age 13, Lustiger converted to Catholicism.
Is there a chance of a Jewish pope?
Well, interestingly, I think the people who would be most opposed to the election of a Jewish pope is the Jewish community itself. First of all, his conversion is controversial among the Jewish community. When he visited Israel, he was attacked by some of the rabbis there. So this is not going to be considered an ecumenical gesture on the part of the Catholics if we elect a Jewish pope.
It would be inviting a lot of controversy.
Yes, yes.
In the Muslim world as well.
Absolutely, yes. I think there certain candidates, a Jewish candidate, an American candidate, would bring a lot of baggage with them if they were elected. For example, if an American was elected, half the third world would be convinced that the CIA fixed the election or that the Cardinals sold out to Wall Street.
Is the possibility of an American becoming pope just out of the question?
Yes.
Why?
Well, first of all, now this is the first statement I'll make that'll get me into trouble. None of them really should be elected pope. Our cardinals don't tend to, to project that kind of strength. I think the American cardinals generally will line up with the conservatives and hoping to get a more conservative pope. But I think they'll have to settle for a moderate, a centrist.
The election of John Paul II was a shock and disappointment to many in Italy, where for so long the papacy seemed almost a birthright.
Well, I think there is a feeling in Italy among the church there, the cardinals, that this may be their last chance to get back in control of the papacy.
But the Italian cardinals do not speak with one voice. They are largely conservative, but the front runner is a liberal. Cardinal Carlo Maria Martini of Milan, renowned scholar, fluent in 11 languages. He was sent by Pope John Paul II to Milan to run the largest archdiocese in the world. Some saw this as a ploy to overwhelm Martini with paperwork in order to keep him out of prominence. If that was the intention, it didn't work.
There is a certain bewilderment. What are we going to do?
He is the darling of the media. His popularity has spread beyond Italy.
Comunione liberatissima. Però parlate italiano, siete voi.
Appearances at Harvard and in New York City had an almost pre-papal quality.
Carlo Martini is, in my judgment, the Archbishop of Milan, the best qualified person for Pope. And many of the groups that now feel alienated from the church would feel once again that they were included in it. He would be an outstanding Pope.
He is the one who's talked about very frequently as Pope. But I think he's got 3.5 strikes against him. One, he's considered liberal. Secondly, he's a Jesuit, and I'm a Jesuit, but I think there are a lot of people who would not like to see a Jesuit as Pope.
Why? Too free-thinking?
Well, it's more like this is the largest, considered by some, very powerful religious order. We have our friends, we have our enemies, and a Jesuit cardinal would carry that kind of baggage into the college. The other handicap that Cardinal Martini has is he's aging. He's now 71 years of age. In my opinion, they are going to be looking for someone between 65 and 71 years of age.
Anniversario di un atto.
Martini has openly called for a dialogue on issues like celibacy, women priests, and birth control, issues on which the Pope has been an unyielding conservative. And since he appointed a majority of the cardinals, it's assumed an equally doctrinaire successor will be elected. But Father McBrien says not necessarily.
Again and again and again in the history of papal elections, popes are succeeded by men different from themselves. John the 23rd, when he was elected, this overweight, cholesterol-ridden, wonderful, loving man from Venice, the Patriarch of Venice, when he was elected, he was almost 78. He was going to be a transitional pope. He was going to be safe, you know, after Pius XII will catch our breath. Well, he turned the church on its head in less than 5 years, and we had the Second Vatican Council and a whole new Catholic Church.
This time McBrien is betting on an Italian, but not the liberal Martini, someone who won't rock the boat. After the 2-decade reign of John Paul, he says the conclave will look to an older man whose pontificate will be both short and uneventful.
They want to catch their breath after this pope, and they want to survey the landscape and see what options they may have. By electing a young man, they would lock themselves in yet again. So I would be looking for an Italian who's in his 70s, that may be a person with a term of about 7 or 8 years, and then by that time they could decide where they want to move in the early part of the next millennium.
There are many within the church who feel the 20-year reign of John Paul II has been too long, leading to a tendency to equate the office with the man.
It's too long for one man. It's because he puts too deep a stamp on the church and on the office. So it's better to have, it'd be better if they had a term limit of 10 years. And many have raised that as a possibility for the future. And I think criticisms of the present Pope, John Paul II, are that many feel that he's gotten, in a sense, bigger than the church, and acting as if he alone determines what Catholicism is, and he alone determines what Catholics can do or not do. That's a very serious mistake.
The Pope has made it clear he is determined to lead the church into the millennium. If he does so, it will be as a mere shadow of the robust 58-year-old the cardinals elected 20 years ago. The years, not to mention an assassination attempt, broken bones, cancer surgery, and the reported onset of Parkinson's disease have taken a toll.
The word I hear is everybody is wondering, when will he die? Because that is critical. Because, you know, if a cardinal moves too quickly now and says, I support this man for the next pope, not only is that bad form, it's also putting your money on a horse that may be aging, and may, by the time the race runs, it may be too old to make it to the finish line.
While the papacy is the last absolute monarchy on earth, this pope succeeded in becoming the symbol for political freedom around the world. But on church dogma, he held fast. The issue for many Catholics is, must the church now change to embrace some of the social realities of the third millennium?
Catholics in our own country go to church much less than they used to. Alienation of Catholics from the church, especially women. John Paul II, he lays down the rules and enforces them. That's actually the very thing that I think many of the electors will not want in the next pope, because that has turned off so many people. And they're going to look for a pope who can show a pastoral, compassionate, forgiving, loving, merciful face to the world.
For 97 years, GMC has designed trucks for people who drove them not because they were trendy, but because their lives depended on them. Heroes who measured a truck by its power and its determination. That heritage lives in the new Yukon Denali. A luxury SUV with a 255 horsepower V8. It meets the demands of professionals and the standards of history. The Yukon Denali by GMC.
Walk over there and I'll take a picture.
Introducing the incredible power of new Duracell Ultra.
That's lovely, Jeremy. That's lovely. Wait a minute. Try the statue.
Now cameras get faster flashes, up to 100 more pictures.
That's it. Lovely. Let yourself go.
New Duracell Ultra with a concentrated power force to give more life to your high-tech devices.
Yes. Work it. Work it.
New Duracell Ultra. More power, more life.
Will you ever own a personal satellite? Will you ever say, fill her up with hydrogen? Are microfibers just a trend? One thing's for sure, opportunities abound. And every day we look at them through a microscope. Like a peek, let's get to work. Solomon Smith Barney.
60 Minutes, a CBS News magazine, will continue.
A mysterious stranger is preying on the sick.
I saw an angel. It's not an angel. Hey, you!
On the season premiere of Touched by an Angel. Then, Walter Matthau and Carol Burnett in a world premiere movie.
You and I are getting married.
I bet you say that to all the girls.
The Marriage Fool, tonight on CBS.
This fall, the kids are asking the question.
So you know how to make babies, right?
Now it's Cosby's turn to squirm.
Do you?
It's none of your business.
Catch the Cosby season premiere on the new CBS Monday.
The address is CBS. Welcome home.
I just want to tell you what a great job you're doing. You're hardworking, solid, dependable. You make our pan pizza America's favorite pizza. You make sure the crust is always crispy on the outside, soft and chewy on the inside. Without you, this place is nothing. You are special.
He's talking to the pan again.
Come on. Give me a hug.
Now get up to 3 toppings or a Supreme Pan Pizza for just $8.99. That's $8.99. What more could you want? Pizza Hut, the best pizzas under one roof.
Nancy will have to see from near to far almost 1,000 times today. Her eyes will focus on 40 labels, 60 charts, and 100 smiles. And in all that time, she'll never once think about the science that allows her to focus instantly at all distances. Nancy just knows that her Verilux lenses help her see better. And for her, that's a very comforting thought. Verilux, the comfort of better vision. For more information, call 1-888-9-VERILUX.
Sally Schulze and Jerry Brown, weeknights at 6 and 11 on News 12.
During his time, Anthony Casto was the country's most feared gangster. Once the boss of New York's Lucchese crime family, he ruled by extorting, intimidating, or murdering not only his mob rivals, but legitimate businessmen, law enforcement officials, and anyone else who got in his way. After Casto was arrested in 1993, he cut a deal with the government to testify against the mob in exchange for leniency. The deal fell apart, but not before Casto gave prosecutors a detailed history of how he took control of some of this country's leading industries and how he personally participated in the murders of 36 people. That's right, 36 people. We met Casto at the Metropolitan Correctional Center in New York City just before he was shipped out to a maximum security prison to serve a life sentence. Not one, but 13 life sentences, plus 455 years. Despite a lifetime of violence and treachery, Casto says nothing beats being a mafia boss.
It's better than being a Hollywood star. No matter where you go with your family, they don't know what to do for you, the people. I mean, don't get me wrong, they know you're a gangster, they know what you are. They go all out for you. Like go to restaurants, you don't wait online. They'll get you a table right away. You'll get the best of foods, the best of wines.
So why did these people treat you that way?
Because they knew I was with organized crime. They knew I was a mafia member.
And as a mafia member, Casto was an unusually menacing figure with a reputation for being hot-tempered and sadistic. Take the case of Jimmy Heidel, a rival mobster who was tapped to kill Casto. Heidel botched the job, only wounding him, and then Casto hunted Heidel down.
Took him to a place that I had prearranged, somebody's house that I could use. I brought him in there, sat him down. I wanted to know why I was shot, and who told you, and who else was involved, and who told you, who gave you the orders to shoot me.
After you were finished with it, you killed it.
Right.
Was it just one shot to the head?
No, I didn't shoot him in that. I didn't shoot him. I was in somebody's house. You make a mess. I shot him a couple of times. I didn't torture the kid. I didn't do anything like that. I shot him a couple of times. The kid died.
Well, what's a couple?
More than a couple. It's a couple. Really, I don't know the exact amount. Maybe I shot him 10 times, 12 times.
Maybe 15 even.
It could have been 15.
Why?
It's the hatred I had for him. Now, I wanted to beat him with the gun after it was empty. He just tried to kill me. He doesn't deserve anything. That's the law anyway.
That was your law.
There's the law of the mafia.
Casto learned the law of the mafia as a young boy. He was groomed by his late father, Michael, a mob enforcer in the 1930s and 40s.
Since I was 8, 9 years old, I grew up in this atmosphere, and they used to always, you know, they wanted to dress me like a little gangster, put a suit on me, a hat, go against the wall, take a picture, put one hand in your pocket, you know, things like that, you know.
As a teenager, Casto worked as a longshoreman on the docks in Brooklyn. The right place to be, he says, if you were a thief.
If I needed a few dollars extra that day, I would just take something, put it on a truck, sell it to the truck driver, and that would be it.
So if you were unloading the ship, isn't there somebody there watching what you're doing?
Yeah, but they were all doing the same thing I'm doing. Doing the same thing.
Did it ever occur to you to try to earn a legitimate living, to have a 9-to-5 job?
I did have a 9-to-5 job, and I was still a thief. And I was a good thief.
With exceptional talents as a hitman and a moneymaker, Casto quickly rose to the top of the Lucchese family. In 1990, with law enforcement closing in on him, Casto became a fugitive, which landed him a spot on the FBI's wanted list. After a nationwide manhunt, Casto was finally captured in 1993.
He's really, really within a world of criminals that are bad people, that are killers, who are just treacherous, deceitful people. He stands out.
Valerie Caproni was the assistant U.S. attorney in charge of Casto's case. She says Casto knows no limits.
He was involved in a conspiracy to murder a federal judge. He was involved in a conspiracy to murder a federal prosecutor. He murdered and authorized the murder of witnesses. I mean, these sorts of crimes are beyond the pale.
Casto ended up pleading guilty to more than 100 crimes, and in hopes of getting out of jail one day, he, like several other high-ranking mobsters before him, turned on his mafia family and became a government informant.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman and members of the subcommittee.
In 1996, hidden behind a curtain, Casto, who was in the Federal Witness Protection Program, testified on Capitol Hill and exposed the mafia's lucrative partnership with Russian organized crime groups, which owned hundreds of gas stations in the New York area.
Tying in Russian organized crime made large amounts of money by working scams to avoid paying tax on gasoline.
Don't you guys take a blood oath not to talk about the mafia to anyone outside of the family? Isn't there a code of silence, omerta? Isn't that what it's called?
Right.
What happened to all of that?
I could see the handwriting on the wall. There was no, all the old timers were gone. There was nobody honorable left out there, and this was my time to depart. So let me try to get back. You know, the few years I got back left with my life, I wanted to try to hit the streets again.
Casto told the government all about the mafia's day-to-day operations in places like this, New York City's Garment Center. For decades, the mafia has had a stranglehold on business here, siphoning off tens of millions of dollars every year in illegal profits from clothing manufacturers, who then pass on those costs to consumers. Casto says he made $5 million a year doing business this way. His information helped net dozens of arrests and gave prosecutors a rare inside look at how the mafia controls legitimate industries.
You can't move a garment in there unless we tell you what trucker to use, who to deal with, and what you have to pay. Because we control the unions.
When you say you control the union, what do you mean?
The organized crime is putting their people in there to be the union representatives.
All right, I'm going into business. I'm going to open up Bradley Suits. I make men's clothing down there on 7th Avenue. But suppose I say, look, I've got these truckers over here who are going to move my suits. These are the people I want to use. I don't want to see your people. What happens?
First thing they're going to do is go grab the trucker and tell him not to pick your work up. Now you're going to be sitting with all your work ready to be shipped out, and there's going to be nobody to pick it up. They're going to look to attack you in another way. Maybe get in your shop, destroy your merchandise, you know, until you come along, until you finally join up and sign up with them.
Will they go after me?
Possibility. You know, they would rather make a deal with you than do any harm to you.
When they make the deal and I agree to make these payments, do I make them in cash, in checks?
In cash. What we do is all money's collected every month. Lucchese family gets 50%, the Genovese family gets 25%, and the Gambino family gets 25% of the monies. That's how it's divvied up.
Suppose I say to this union representative, look, I've got hidden tape recorders here. I've recorded all of this. I'm going to the FBI. What happens then?
What do you think? It's going to happen. They would look to kill you. If you did that, they would look to kill you.
If you think he's kidding, consider what happened to Robert Kubeka and his brother-in-law, Donald Barstow, two law-abiding businessmen who stood up to Anthony Casto and the Mafia's control over garbage hauling, an industry the mob runs just the way it runs the garment center. Kubeka and Barstow operated a small, private garbage hauling business out on Long Island. After refusing repeated demands to pay the mob a fee to stay in business, and fed up with death threats and damage to their property, in 1982, the two men agreed to work undercover for the government. That was more than Anthony Casto and the Mafia were going to put up with.
Once they were marked that they were informant on the association, on the garbage industry, we want to protect our interests. The next step is, the only way to get rid of them is you would have to kill them. And then finally, that's what it came to.
Early one morning, as Robert Kubeka and Donald Barstow were opening for business, two men sent by Anthony Casto quietly walked in and fired 10 shots, killing Kubeka and Barstow. They were legitimate businessmen, family men. They were trying to run a business, fair and above board. They had wives, children. They were ordered killed. You have any regrets about that?
I don't have any regrets. I never knew them. I don't know their wife and children. But it's just like business for us. I don't have any feelings about it one way or the other. That's what had to be done.
Despite his involvement in 36 murders, Anthony Casto's cooperation agreement with the government had all but guaranteed that one day he would get to walk out of prison, but not anymore. Prosecutors recently ripped up their agreement with Casto, saying he repeatedly committed crimes in prison after becoming an informant, that he bribed guards to have goods smuggled in, that he assaulted another inmate, and that he made false accusations against other mob witnesses. In all likelihood, Casto will now spend the rest of his life behind bars.
If you want to be a gangster, be a gangster. If you want to be a government witness, come and be a government witness. You can't straddle the line, because we are going to pull the plug on the cooperation agreement if we catch you doing that. And with Casto, that's exactly what happened. It was his decision not to come on board 100%, not ours.
Casto says he was double-crossed, that the government used him for his information and then broke its agreement over what he insists were minor infractions. Casto now says he regrets his decision to become an informant, a decision he says he made over the strong objections of his immediate family, which feared the mob would retaliate against them.
I got an older brother. He was over there crying like a baby, and how could you do it, and what about us? Look what you're doing to us. You're ruining our lives, And then my daughter got on the phone. I says to her, I made a deal with them. I gave them my word. I'm going to keep my word. And for the government, I went against my daughter's wishes.
And now you think the government hung you out to dry?
Without a doubt. Without a doubt.
You get emotional about your family.
Yes.
It's understandable. You love them very much, you miss them.
Very much.
What about all the people who've been hurt in the course of your years in this mafia business? You pled guilty to more than 100 crimes, participating in some level in 36 murders.
Right.
What about the families of those people?
Look, I didn't know them, so personal feelings. I gotta be honest. I didn't know them.
You don't have any trouble sleeping at night? You don't have a bad conscience about all of this?
Over the victims' families? No. I don't.
And if somebody says bribery, extortion, participation in murder, actually killing somebody, he deserves to be in prison. He doesn't deserve a deal. What do you say?
I say they're right, 100%. If I had to go to jail for my crimes, I should never come out of jail. I don't deserve any sympathy for anybody or anything. But I deserve the deal I made. They should honor the deal I made.
Citing the government's decision to tear up his cooperation agreement, Anthony Casto is appealing his multiple life sentences. For now, he sits in solitary confinement 23 hours a day.
Fortunately, when you buy a Honda certified used car, you know what you're getting. Because to be certified, first it must pass a 150-point inspection. Then it's backed by one of the strongest warranties in the industry.
Welcome to Wausau, where everyone and everything concentrates on the business of business insurance.
It's back. And this time, there's something new. Now there's a wind tunnel that's self-propelled. New self-propelled wind tunnel.
Well, little boy, this is Singing Bob saying, adios, till next time.
Singing Bob.
Hey, I'm home.
Dad.
Guess whose ranch got a new furnace today?
Singing Bob. So when you go back, I could go too and ride a trusty horse bullet?
Whoa, son. I won't be going back to Singing Bob's for a long, long time. Singing Bob bought a train.
They did it. Now there's an easy, great-tasting way to stay regular. And with a low-fat diet, it helps your cholesterol and may even reduce your risk of heart disease. It's Fiberol, the 6th natural fiber supplement, plus vitamins and minerals. Fiberol, fiber for your life.
On the new CBS Monday, Cosby faces his biggest challenge, an inquisitive 11-year-old.
So you know how to make babies, right?
It's none of your business. Then, Kevin James stars in the new comedy, The King of Queens.
Stay in the mood. Hey, it's all coming back.
Next, Everybody Loves Raymond is back at its new time.
You have to do something.
How about this?
And it's the premiere of The Brian Benben Show.
You have such a huge mortgage.
Well, it didn't get that way by itself, baby.
It's all on the new CBS Monday.
Most of the news we get these days comes in two shapes, oval as in office and diamond as in baseball. Andy?
Even if you're not a baseball fan, you have to enjoy the competition between Sammy Sosa and Mark McGwire to see who can hit the most baseballs over the fence. Just fun. And it's so nice to be able to turn to the back pages of the newspaper and find a good, clean story. Part of the fun is what good guys both McGwire and Sosa seem to be. They even like each other. Baseball players aren't always that sportsmanlike. The New York Yankees were good enough to send us several of these used Louisville sluggers. They're pretty nice bats. This one is broken, I notice. George Steinbrenner must have sent me this one. The average player breaks 100 bats a year. They break easier now because the handle is so much thinner. Someone told me that Babe Ruth used the same bat the whole year. The owners of professional teams are always making things worse, but Big League Baseball has done at least one thing right. They've kept the wooden bat. Both McGwire and Sosa use these Rawlings bats, and Rawlings sent us some beauties made of ash. Ash is a hardwood like oak, but it has more flexibility. Aluminum bats, like this one, are used outside the major leagues. That's why you see college scores like 23-14. If the pros hit with these, the ball would come off the bat so fast, they'd kill a couple of pitchers every year. The official baseball costs $12.95, so McGwire and Sosa will cost their teams about $1,800 in balls alone. This is a $2 ball. When I was a kid, we used cheap balls like this, and the cover always came off after a while, so we wrapped it with black tape. I'd like to see how many home runs McGuire or Sosa could hit with a ball wrapped with tape. I cut 2 balls in half to see the difference between the cheap one and the expensive one. The cheap ball is solid cork. The Major League Baseball has what looks like a high-tech rubber center. Do you really think Babe Ruth got to hit a ball like this? Here's what I'd like to do with this. I'd like to get Mark McGuire to autograph this half and Sammy Sosa to autograph this half. Then I'd put them together, and wouldn't that be some souvenir baseball? And, of course, if I ever wanted to play with it, I'd just wrap it with black tape.
I'm Steve Croft. We'll be back next week with another edition of 60 Minutes. Now here's a look at what's coming up this week from CBS News.
On tomorrow's CBS Evening News, after the president's videotape testimony is released tomorrow morning, where does the story go? We'll have complete, accurate coverage. And then Thursday on 48 Hours, she is losing a daughter. She could lose a baby. A powerful addiction. Speed trap. 48 Hours, Thursday.
9 out of 10 HMOs have prescription drug coverage. We all know how expensive the best medicines get, but it's only a small copay for most HMO patients. HMOs, the health care you want at a price you can afford.
The all-new Mitsubishi Galant. Totally new styling, nicely equipped at $17,990.
Behr Premium Plus paint. Durable, vibrant, perfect for your room, whichever room that might be. Behr Premium Plus, the premium paint with a Home Depot price.
A place of visionaries. A place of dynamos. A place where if you want, you really can change the world. A place of doers and darers and shapers. Who's next? The New York Stock Exchange. The world puts its stock in us.
HMOs promote regular screenings for breast, colon, and cervical cancer. So cancer is detected earlier in HMOs, and faster treatment saves more lives. HMOs, the health care you want at a price you can afford.
She's not drunk, she's diabetic.
To Lana Newman Chatan.
Here's to internal medicine.
When it comes to pregnancy, we cannot tell her parents. I'll tell them. Like hell you will.
Are you Dr. Newman? She's like a movie star.
Which movies?
LA Doctors premieres CBS Monday. CBS Tuesday. An altar boy stands accused of killing an archbishop.
A victim in this case is my client.
The blockbuster that shocked audiences around the world.
I saw the tape.
Richard Gere.
Everybody thinks you did it.
Edward Norton.
There was someone else in that room.
In a network television premiere, Primal Fear. CBS Tuesday contains violent scenes. The address is CBS. Welcome home. Sally Schulze and Jerry Brown, weeknights at 6 and 11 on News 12.
There comes a point in your life when you outgrow those cute little pickups, at which time you might want to consider something a little more adult. A truck that can run rings around compacts. Dodge Dakota, with more room and more available towing, payload, and power. Magnum power. Dakota. It's time to put away the toys.
On streets all across Tennessee, there is change in the air. Change in the way you get well and stay healthy. Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Tennessee. Today with access to more doctors and hospitals. Today with more health care insurance plans than anyone else in the state. Hope, Health, Security. Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Tennessee. The address is CBS. Welcome home.